Hello, hello. My name is Maria Service. I am an Akashic Records channeler, past life and subconscious healer, and I just need to put on a little bit of chapstick, but I am super excited to go live today because part of this week's theme has been all about trusting intuition, intuitive nudges, even when it feels like at first it's like a whisper, right? Like, I realize now as I can call myself an intuition mastery coach, and specifically, I don't teach intuition. I help high achievers, high level women, type A, very logic minded women. I help them remember that they are intuitive through past life and subconscious healing. So it's really not like a teaching, it is a remembering. And initially, it can feel hard to listen to your intuition. And so I love walking women through the healing. And while I love sharing more on my story, I am excited to share. I have Kim. Her handle is Kimberly Rosa Wright, and I'm going to invite her into the room here in just a moment. Hey, Kim. And I'm so excited. Also, like, full disclosure, Kim is also family. Her and I are we married cousins. And so, and ironically, like, we're both from healthcare. Kim was a nurse. And she ultimately started getting these nudges to do something different, something wildly different. And so I'm so excited to bring her on, and we're going to just talk about what it means to like go from like, okay, trusting on logic, data, doing what makes sense, to doing what feels right in your heart, in your soul, and following and trusting that. And she also went through my HSA program, so I'm going to bring her on, and I'm super excited to share here. Let's see. To be totally honest, when I had Wendy on Monday, it took me a couple times for some reason to like hit the right buttons to get you in. So see, I'm hitting accept. And I know as we wait here, as we wait for the technology gods to like come into the into the room, I just want to say like intuition will come to you in different ways. I'm actually really excited. I'll just quick drop and share that my virtual experience, this portal that I like to call Ascend, that comes around usually twice a year. Ascend, the doors are open now. You can actually grab your ticket, and we'll kick off June 2nd. So I love sharing stories of women who have been through HSA, sharing stories of women who, have learned how to go from, let's see here, logic to trusting themselves more deeply in intuition. But I want you to know that, like, if you're watching this, if you land on this live, it is meant for you too. Hey, Kim. Oh, gosh. Okay, hold on. How do I get that off the screen? So I'll just finish. Yes. So if you want an experience to experience a taste of your own intuition, be sure to join us inside the Ascend portal. You can comment Ascend below. And Kim, hello. How are you?
Gosh, hi. I was going to tell you, I just got, as I was waiting, I got deja vu. Like, of course.
Like, we've done this before. We've done this before. I remember this. I remember that.
Well, we tried, we had like 2 failed attempts. I think we've been trying to have a live since like February. And we're like, nope, when the timing's right, it'll happen. It'll happen.
I agree. And honestly, this feels like perfect timing because Kim, it was truly, actually, this is perfect timing because Kim, I feel like it was almost exactly a year ago that you must have been getting curious about your intuition. Yes. And I want to say it was July 2024 when we were together for like our big inaugural like summer gathering. I think that you were like, that's when you really asked me, you were like, Maria, I'm like kind of curious about this intuition and I want to like learn more. But okay, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. So Kim, would you mind first? I gave a little brief intro. Mm-hmm. Would you share a little bit more about yourself? Like I shared a little bit that like you used to be in nursing, and like if you wouldn't mind starting with where you've been to kind of where you are now, and maybe like what ultimately started getting you into intuition and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so technically still a nurse, but I haven't been I did a couple PRN jobs since Mia's been born. My daughter is almost 5. So I want to spend the early years with her, and that's been great. But really, I think motherhood, and we've talked about this a little bit too, I think motherhood is when like I really started noticing my intuition starting to come up. I was still doubting it though, doubting it a lot. But you know, there was a lot of modern parenting ideas out there that I just felt did not fit with Mia, and she was a very, I don't want to say difficult, but yeah, she was a difficult baby. She didn't sleep through the night
And
until
let's
she
be
was
honest,
2.
also
You know,
very
very particular.
like probably
Yeah,
very intuitive, right? Like very
exactly.
connected. Like there's a reason why she didn't want just like a basic regular old parenting advice. She's like, no, mom, we've got this like psychic connection. Let's go.
Exactly. So I think that was the start of it, where I was like, I started actually trusting that intuition and letting it guide me in parenthood.
Yeah.
But then, and I would say to this day, still the biggest intuitive nudge I've ever gotten, which we've talked about also, is when I was in a car ride and I just finished reading a book. And I was trying to think of what story I wanted to read next. So I was just kind of like going through different ideas in my head, like, oh, that'd be cool, that'd be cool. And then I got an idea. And when I got that idea, like my whole body lit up. And my mind was like, well, why don't you write it? And I was like, oh, yes. Then I was like, but then like the fear sets in where it's like, but can we do this? I don't know if we can do this. And I was like, well, it doesn't matter if I can do it. I can just try. Like, I'm not, you know, I'm not like, okay, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to publish
Yeah.
it. It was definitely let me just write. I just like need something. Like, I love being a mom, but like, I want something on the side that's like for me. I was like, I really like this idea and I want to write it. So that was the intuitive hit. And then I started the next day.
When
And
was
yeah, that first, yeah.
When was that about? Like
Oh,
what month and year did you
okay.
like get this download of like, ooh, okay, I like this idea. I want to write a book. Or like, you know what I
Yes,
mean? Like when was that again?
that was July 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I am remembering now. Yes, you had been kind of like, yeah,
That
working
was
on that a little
coming
bit.
home from probably the service Christmas, or did we do Catfish that year? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I also feel like I think there was a while probably from when you maybe had that initial happen and that seed dropped into your mind or whatever in your heart, and from when you even told us, because I feel like you didn't really initially
No.
broadcast it out loud, right? I think it was kind of like a side project or like, I'm just gonna start chipping away on this, you know?
Right. I was like, I'm not going to tell people I'm writing a book. And then, you know, a couple weeks later, they're like, well, how's it going? I'm like, oh, yeah, I stopped. Because I tend
Yeah.
to do that. Like, I would start things. I mean, like, I can kind of play guitar, I can kind of play piano. I was like a cheerleader dropout. Like, I've stopped a lot of things that I just didn't really like anymore. Or I
Yep.
felt like I hit like a peak and I was like, I'm over it. So I was like, this very well might happen. So I thought I would just give it a try and do it myself. And then around, I think like 60 days later, I had a first draft and I was like, oh my gosh, like I did this. And I was like, okay, now like I do want to publish. And then I went through like a ton of revisions, but I was still like, again, really fearful of it. And I let my mom read it. I think my dad read it too, but I really wouldn't let anyone else read it.
Yep.
I didn't feel that like an editor or like straight like critique partners or like beta readers. I was like, I don't want to do any of that. And that's when, so that following spring, I was like, this feels not right. Like I do want to write, but this book is not like the debut. So I put
And
that
would you say
aside.
again, I'm
Yeah.
going to pause you for a second, because would you say it sounds like, and because again, like the theme here is like logic over trusting an
Yes.
intuitive nudge. And so
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to, and tell me if I'm wrong, but like logically, it would have made sense to keep going on this first book.
Yes.
Like I've already written it. Logically, like I should just, whatever, put this one out into the universe. It's like already almost done.
Mm-hmm.
But you did get some kind of intuitive nudge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, this isn't the debut
Right.
book. Like that's huge. You listen.
Right. So I set that aside, thinking actually probably, and actually I think at this point I was feeling a little bit negative about it. I was like, maybe this was just supposed to be my thing and I'm not actually supposed to publish. And then I started the mom blog for like that summer then. So now we're at summer 2023.
Forget about the mom blog. Yeah.
I loved doing that and like making the new post each week, but at the same time, it was like too much mom. It
Yeah.
was like all I'm doing, like I'm
You
with
already
Mia
had
all
that
day.
hat
And
on a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm missing the escape of like writing fiction. And then so we went to a wedding that Labor Day of 2023. And while we were there, again, long car rides, like I tend to start thinking stuff. I thought of an idea that I had gotten while I was writing the past book, and it like really started spiraling in my head. And I was like, I kind of want to write this one now. I was like, I want to do this. And so I was like, am I going to like try it again? And I kind of gave it, I was like, maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. We'll just see what happens. And then, yeah, and so that's the book that I'm working on now. So that's been almost 2 years. This is my editor for the second round of editing. And I should get that back on May 30th. Unless it takes longer, we'll see. Yeah, and then I'm hoping to be ready to go with that by September. But yeah, so lots of things happened between there. But we should go back to this past summer then, which is
yes.
yeah.
And something else, like I also just love pointing these little things out because again, I feel called to work with like, and Kim, actually, ironically, I don't think you actually always identify when I use words like type A. You're like, I don't know if I would call myself type A, but you have like a strong logic mind, ego mind, like do what makes sense kind of thing. And you said something about like how on long car rides, you would maybe get an idea, right? Like you got on another car ride and you kind of said, I spiraled on that. So I want to point out how like we spend so much time in our head that it's easy to like get an intuitive download, get an intuitive hit. But then like our mind grabs onto that and it like, then it's all of a sudden now you're like questioning, you're like, well, was that intuition or am I just like completely making shit up? Like it's easy for like things to feel murky. And I feel like before things felt really murky for you. Like, is this intuition? Is this my brain making stuff up? So like, I want to point that out because I do think once you went through higher self awakening, you began to get more clarity on the difference between. But yes, let's go back to summer of last year, Kim. You probably were watching me and my business. Obviously, again, we know each other. I all of a sudden went full woo, sharing on intuition mastery, deep diving into past lives. I'm sure you were watching and just being like, what the heck? And honestly, I didn't know how much to share with family. Like I wasn't sharing this with a lot of people, and I was like, not really bringing it up at family gatherings, like that kind of thing. But I remember you approached me last July at our family shindig and we started talking crystals, card pulls. I don't know. So what kind of like nudged you into that conversation and ultimately to ask me about HSA?
Actually, we have to go back a little bit further because the first thing, and which is why this is like a crazy event, was I would say Mia's hospitalization in February, that past February.
Oh, yes, February. Yes, a year and a ago. Yeah.
I was struggling with that. And we talked about that a lot too, how like for the whole month, I think after she got home from that second hospitalization in February, I would wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to fall asleep unless I put the pulse ox on her hand and made sure that that was fine. And she would have no signs that she was having problems breathing, like no sickness, but I still I was in that like anxiety, like loop of just needing to do that. And I think we were talking about that, and I started I did Reiki. I did Reiki with Mia, and that was the first time. And I did one for myself too.
Yeah. And I think I did nudge you to do that. I was like, you should check this out. Yeah. I feel like this might be.
Yeah. To try, I needed to try different things, definitely. And then I think it was soon after that, I think Reiki was first. And then soon after that, you were learning how to do the Akashic readings. And you're like, can I try one on you? And I was like, okay. I had no idea what to think going into that. And I'm not going to say exactly what we talked about because it's kind of a personal thing that came up. But I remember you told me something very specific during that reading that you and I had never talked about. And it was a family member that had passed on that had sent a message to me. And that I feel like that was definitely a spark. That was one of like a core moment where I was like, oh, and it's not that I didn't believe what you were doing. I think it was more my belief in like, how much is this going to impact me, or like what's going to come up for me? Like, all these people have these great experiences, but I probably won't. Like it probably won't happen to me. And a lot of that happened during HSA too, which we'll talk about, which got better and better for me throughout. Like I started trusting it more.
Yes.
And so that was definitely a thing too, like the trust.
Well, and we dive deep into this. I mean, honestly, that's why HSA is like a 3-month portal, basically. Like it's a journey because it does take a while for like, again, strong ego-minded women, like powerful women, like smart women with these strong egos though, of like, where it's like, okay, I mean, we can do all the downloads, we do all the healing with you guys, but it's like, it truly is like once the ego finally starts to surrender. And also like, I've had a lot of other women in the group be like, well, yeah, Maria, I don't know. I see all these wins from all these other past clients of yours, but like, I don't know if that's really possible for me.
Exactly.
And like, So far, I honestly haven't met like a woman so far that I've not been able to crack open her intuitive channel. And like, you're a good example because I know you had a really hard ego to
Oh
crack.
my gosh.
And I say
Know.
that
It
with
still likes
love.
to come in. It still likes to come in, but now I notice it and I
Fair,
know it's my ego.
right? We don't get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But that was definitely a factor. So, you know, those little tidbits until then. But then this past summer was when I'd gotten we were talking, we saw each other, we see each other a lot in the summer.
Yep.
So each time we'd be talking about all these different things, doing the card pulls. I think we did multiple Akashic readings after that. And then around July or August, I was struggling. I had gotten my first draft back from the editor in July, and I'd made like no progress on it. I knew I needed to make changes, and I had no idea what those changes were. And I think I like messaged you after spiraling one night, and I was like, "How do you talk to your guides? Like, like I need guidance. Like I want to be able to tap in and find that out for myself instead of going to you every time." Because I think that's what I was doing. I was reaching out to you and being like, "Can you please ask? Can you please find this out for me?" Yeah. And then you're like, "She's ready."
And I feel like, Kim, that shows like honestly too, it's why I like created this program, Intuition Mastery, for like ego driven powerhouse women, but like strong egos. But ultimately it's because, yeah, absolutely. Like I love doing readings with people, but like, I know that I'm here for more than just like doing hundreds of readings every day with women. Like I want to help women. I want to help you learn how to like deeply connect to your intuitive channel. So because Kim, I know that you and I could probably talk for a million hours. Yeah. And honestly, Kim will probably be back on Instagram Live, or also I'm going to be like putting this on YouTube and podcasts. But so she'll be back. But I am going to like, okay, so fast forward to just kind of like where you were at to honestly, what are some of the shifts and the changes that you've noticed since going through higher self awakening? And I even want to plug that like also as a busy mom, like stay-at-home mom and things like that too, and like also writing and working on your book, you had to do a lot of the calls as replays as well. You had to like receive the healing transmissions, not even live in real time, and you still notice some profound changes. So what have you kind of noticed since you know, quote unquote completing, but we're always on this journey, higher self awakening?
So definitely one of the main thoughts that shifted was I would every now and then, and pretty frequently before HSA, I would sink into the why do I think I can do this regarding writing a book? Because again, I've never taken a creative writing class. I started writing in 2022. I didn't have this lifelong dream of having, you know, writing a book, but
right, like being an author,
right. Even though I was doing it, even though I had written the draft, even though I'd, you know, hired the editor and got critique partners, done all these things, I would still sink into the why do I think that I can do this? And there's my ego, like probably, you know, trying to protect me from the fear of failure or even like the fear of success with that. But that mindset, I do not, every now and then it'll like peak it and I'll be like, nope, like I know exactly what that is and I work through it, but I do not sink into that like I used to. So that mindset shifted entirely.
Yes.
But now, and then, so should we talk about like when I am writing, what little tidbits?
Yes, yes. I want you to share like how you really noticed, like, because actually I think it even beautifully, Kim, I'm going to have you share the story, but it beautifully says, because before you were saying how it's like, Maria, I just want to be able to talk to my guides. Like, I don't want to have to kind of keep texting you, right? You're like, Maria, I just want a connection. And now tell everyone like this, like connection. I loved this story.
So I notice a lot when I am writing that I'll hear like a little voice in my head that seems a little bit different. And I don't know how to explain it to people who've never like heard a guide, except for that it feels different.
You know, it's not your voice.
I think both of us have like internal dialogues going on a lot. And so maybe it's easier for us to distinguish, or in going through the program, of course. But as I was writing, and the weekend before I had to send it in, I think I wrote for like 8 hours both those days on Saturday and Sunday, just trying to get stuff done. So I was like tapped in. And as I was like going through and like rereading lines, just trying to make all these last minute changes so that it was in like the best shape for my editor. So she's not like, what have you been doing these past 10 months? I would like hear a little voice that would come in, and I didn't even like totally notice it right away. Like I was in the zone that was like almost like it was exactly me. that I would like
Yep.
read a sentence and all of a sudden like a new word would pop in my head for like the word that I should change it to. And I'd be like, okay, like I'll change it. And then the same thing would happen. Like I do another thing and it was like this voice would come in and like tell me like that was the wrong word or like to rephrase it in a certain way. And it got to the point where one time I was like, who's writing this? Like I'm writing, like calm down. Like let me do what I want to do. But I was like, no, like I'm thankful. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that is like that's exactly it. And I wasn't even asking like for guidance at that time. But I think I noticed it a lot more when I am in the zone. I know you can go in and out all the time, but when I'm in the zone, like it just kind of happens. And I'll see
Yes.
even aside from writing, and like hearing the voice, I definitely will see images that I know that they're signing with me. Like I'll be looking for something and have no idea where it is. Like Mia's looking for something, and all of a sudden, like a random image, like her dresser, will just pop into my head, and out of nowhere. And I'm like, and I can notice that now too. I'm like, oh, like that was like a little download that they gave me, and then I'll look there, and there it is, like the thing that I was looking for. So
That is so amazing. And that's like, honestly, Kim, it's like a simple, but like, well, both examples are beautiful and great, but that's what it feels like to like infuse intuition into all these little different parts of your life where it's like, you're in the flow, you're working on something creatively. For you, it's writing your book, and all of a sudden you hear this like voice of your guide just like giving you little tweaks, right? To then like you've lost something in the house, and all of a sudden you like can psychically see through your clairvoyance, you know, like, oh, drawer, that's where I'm supposed to go. Like it just begins to be a part of you because you're not separate from your intuition. You are the intuitive channel. And the other one I want to share, and you can go like if you remember that one, but I also loved how I think your guide at one point you were like, oh, Maria, like I got to work on something with the book, and you're like, I think I need this like space. I think I need a space to write my book. And so you remember you put together that like desk in the guest room area, and it just felt very divinely led. You were just like, you know, I feel like I don't know with that before. You say you might have questioned it, you might have put it off for a while, you maybe never would have put together like, oh, I don't need that spot for myself, but you did it. You listened to the intuitive nudge.
Because I had been getting that nudge before, and I'd said no, I don't need it. Like I wrote it off, and this time I was like, you know what? No, like I really do need it. Like it was stronger this time, and I didn't blow it off. And I was like, this is absolutely something that I need. Like I need this space. I've been writing for almost 3 years now, and I just like sit wherever. So yes, so definitely that.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to point out, because I know I've had women ask me, because like women are already inquiring about higher self awakening, because only 12 spots will be open this summer. And I know in a lot of the messaging and things when I'm sharing about higher self awakening, it's like, yes, you awaken and open your intuitive channel, but we get glimmers of these other gifts that we have, these other spiritual gifts, like things that we've been able to do in past lives that it's like, oh, we can bring that into the here and now. And it can be from anything from like for you, Kim, things that I've seen you like flourish and dabble in. And I know you might not call yourself an expert in them, but like, for example, I love talking back and forth about dream interpretation with you now. Like we talk about some of the different dream work that we're doing with our souls at night. You've also like, I kind of like nudged and you've taken the nudge of like getting into tarot and doing some tarot cards. And it's like, because again, our soul's like, oh, I've done stuff like this before. I know my human self, this feels new. But like, can you share what that's been like to just kind of like open up to some of those different other things?
Oh my gosh, I love those things so much too, because I feel like they add to like the part of me that does want the logic, like the confirmation. And I've gotten so many confirmations from the cards. And actually we should, so a recent one that I got, aside from the one that we just had, recently, and I put it on my Instagram, where I pulled the Hermit card. Well, then I just found out last week my human design is the 6-2 reflector, and the 6-2 is the hermit. And technically, from age 30 to 50, I'm in my hermit stage of that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's all those little synchronicities and, you know, those confirmations that I still love to get. And that's just it. It's just a nice tool.
I do want to quick, plug like what we're talking about here too is like, not only do you open to your own like different spiritual gifts and things, but like you said, we're human still. We don't get rid of our ego mind who sometimes questions our intuition and things like that. So I do love pulling in different like decks. Now it doesn't have to be straight up like tarot, although like, again, we kind of when Kim was going through the Higher Self Awakening program shoot, I'm like, yeah, you've definitely done tarot before. Like that's, and I don't have that pull to it, but you can just get like intuition decks, I call them.
Yes.
And like, oftentimes I do these different readings for women inside my membership, but like, let's say you just pull a card for yourself, and you can get a message. I mean, this one is just failures, only learning. I move with confidence and resilience. I don't know. Someone was meant to hear that today. But yeah, I love working with cards because it sort of brings, some of the messages that we might receive from guides, spirit, higher self into the 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something for you, Kim. And then, yeah, like any crazy dreams that you've been having. I don't know. It's just fun having some different conversations once women awaken more to their soul self.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah. And astrology, you and I both love astrology too. So, we dabble in all
All
sides
the things.
of spirituality, I think, at this point.
Yes. So to wrap this up, and like I said, I'm going to have Kim back, but Kim, if someone's on the fence about either going through Higher Self Awakening, the program, or I am going to probably also have like a self-paced version coming out soon. So if you're watching, stay tuned for that if you maybe can't commit to the full 3-month live container. But if anyone's on the fence about this program, because again, I get it. I think it is something like you kind of need to experience. I know it's hard to explain, but any like nudges or advice for your like, oh, if someone's thinking about joining this program, why might it be a benefit?
Oh my gosh. And I think, for anyone, let's just say again, for anyone who thinks that it will not help me, like, okay, like I see that it helped her, but like, what are the odds that will happen for me? If it happened for me, it will happen for you. Like I was so pessimistic about it just because I had that same mindset. And really, there's nothing that you can lose by going in there. Like your intuition will open up from this, from doing the healings and pulling up. I think I pulled up mostly past life memories, at least 1 or 2 childhood memories I had no idea had impacted me the way that they have.
One you were really surprised about. You're like, oh, I didn't think that was that significant.
No, yeah. And then you find out from this. I think definitely you need to just go in and just do it. If you're getting that little nudge that's telling you maybe this is for me, then that means that it is for you. Like that's your intuition.
Yeah.
And you will trust that after you go through this program.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, Kim, thank you so much for coming on today. Also, I want to plug Kim and her book, which is coming forth. We know that that's going to be Birth. Kim, we're speaking it into existence. It's going to be Birth, your new book. So please be sure to also go follow Kim on her author handle here, Kimberly Rosa Writes, which she'll also be tagged in this Instagram live because I can't wait to read her new book when it comes out. Actually, Kim, will you quick share how these are? I mean, yes, they're fiction books. Their romance. Will you just plug the genre and how you ultimately decided to tease in this like spiritualness into your books? How did that come to be?
Oh my gosh, that was I think that was when I was doing HSA too. So the things I knew before HSA was that I was writing a contemporary romance, which is romance set in a modern day. I knew that I wanted there to be a thriller aspect and suspense. And I knew that I wanted a character with a trauma background. I knew I wanted her to have a healing journey. I had no idea what I wanted that healing journey to look like. And even when I sent the first draft to my editor, I left it open to her and I was like, I don't feel right about the way I went with this, but I had to take her somewhere at some point. So I was like, I'll deal with that later. And then, so that was a big thing that was bothering me last summer. I was like, I don't know what to do with her healing journey. And then we started going through this, and there were a couple little nudges that you'd had. Yeah, you had a psychic reading.
Yes.
Who had mentioned something very specific. And I'm probably not, I'd be giving away a lot. So I think I'll just say that.
Yeah. No,
you told me about that. And that ultimately led me to the spiritual healing that my character goes through in this book, which obviously people will find out what it is when they read it. But yeah, and so I went full spiritual healing in this. I mean, I talk about a lot of different topics, and it almost makes it feel kind of fantasy, but these are all real topics and a lot of things that I've experienced too and that I believe in. So it's an interesting twist to a modern book. So we'll see how that goes.
So excited. And I think for whoever reads this book, whoever sees this book, again, it might just be an awakening. It might be a nudge to go deeper in your journey. So amazing, Kim. Thank you so much. I'm going to get this all prettied up in Instagram world. And so you'll listeners will be able to tune into the replay. Again, if you want to get a taste of tapping into your own intuition, be sure to register for Ascend for just $11. You can get your ticket. We're just going through a portal for 4 days in June that you can kind of check out. And then Women Inside Ascend will be the first to get inside Higher Self Awakening if you decide to go further in your journey of intuition mastery. So, all right. Thank you, Kim.
Thank
Bye.
you. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Bye.